So you want to clone a repository for a project that someone else has already made the GitHub for, and then set up revision control afterwards. Well, you've come to the right place. To start, we're going to go over here to this code button, and then we're going to click Open with GitHub Desktop. You could always copy the web URL and paste it in there manually, but this is going to open us directly into GitHub Desktop anyway, so we don't have to worry about that. So it'll automatically populate the URL here, and then it'll show you your local path. I'm going to change to choose this because it's defaulting to another project we have. I'm going to go into the Unreal Engine projects, where there are a bunch of other projects, and we're just going to set it in here, which will populate another folder with the repository. We'll click Select Folder, and we'll click Clone, and it's going to set up everything. So to start, it'll put everything in here. It'll already pull from Origin because this is the first time that it's actually adding everything there. We're just waiting for it to receive objects. I'll skip to when this is fully loaded. Now. And it's loaded. Alright, so we've got, currently on the master branch, it's the only branch that's here. If you are working with a project, you'll want to pick the correct branch that you're supposed to be working on, whether it be a branch specifically for developing a mechanic, or just a working branch that's meant to not interfere with the main until you want to merge or pull to the main. Don't worry about that, just know which branch you're supposed to be working on. You'll fetch Origin if there's any new content to pull, so anytime you're about to go into the engine, click Fetch Engine. We've already just cloned this, so it's not going to change what's there. But if there was a push since then, you would need to fetch Origin before going in. The simplest way to open the project is you'll go over here, right-click the repository, and click Show in Explorer. This will bring up the Unreal Engine project right there, which you will double-click, and then the first time that you open it, it is going to take 8 billion years to load. So we are going to skip on forward to when that is fully opened, right about now. Alright, so now that we're in the engine, after waiting for 8 billion years for it to load the first time, because it has to load the shaders and everything the first time you open the project, after that it should open faster past that point. But the first time it'll take a while. We are going to set up revision control. Give me a minute to adjust the screen. Let me move myself out of the way, because right now I'm kind of covering where the revision control button is. Alright, so down there in the bottom right, there's a little button that says revision control. We are going to go down there, and we're going to click the button. We are going to connect to revision control. We're going to select the provider Git beta version, and then we will accept the default location for it. We'll click Accept Settings. And we are successfully connected to GitHub revision control. Past this point, any changes that we make, for example, if I were to... I don't want to mess with the prototype scene here, so... Was there any other levels made? So there's just the prototype level right now. So if I make a new level, for example, just a basic, regular level to test mechanics in, this has caused a change overall that is a new file that needs to be committed to the GitHub. So if we go down to revision control, and we submit content now, because we have changed something, it's going to pop up with this, and it's going to show what has changed so far. Which, one of them is just that we have added another level to this, which actually I haven't quite added yet. So let's save this first, because it's going to save this map as, we'll call it a test map. Save it, and then we'll go to revision control and click this submit content button. This will have this pop up here. We'll say added test level. And we'll submit that, which will check it into revision control. And you'll want to do this anytime you make a change after you've set up revision control. Then you'll go back to GitHub Desktop, which will remove the changes from this left bar, and it'll add it to the revision control, and then you simply push to Origin. That's all you really need to do for changes. If someone has made changes at the same time as you, most of them will not conflict with each other as long as they are separate files that are being influenced, However, if two people make changes to the scene at the same time, for example, if two different people add their assets to a specific level, they will conflict with each other because it's the same file that's being updated. There is a way to submit multiple things at the exact same time, but that's a little bit more complicated and requires Visual Studio Code. So what we are going to do for now is we are just going to push things that are put into the content browser. So anytime that there is files that we want to add to the project, or if we are making a change while someone else is not working in the project to push, all should be completely fine. So when you are back here after submitting to revision control, you'll push. Anytime someone else pushes, you'll pull from origin in order to update your own project. So that's all you really need to know about setting up the project and then pushing things every time. So you'll clone the repository, pull from origin in order to get any changes, open the project, make any changes you need, submit it to revision control down here in the bottom right after setting it up in like 2 clicks, and then you'll push it back to origin for other people to access. That's how you will go about cloning a repository, setting up revision control, and then pushing all of the changes that you've made. Hope this helped. Alright, so one last thing before we end off. So if there is ever a file that you do not want to push through revision control, you can simply avoid pushing it. For example, if, say, we add something to the scene, or you want to test and see what something looks like in the scene, but don't actually want to push those changes because someone else is working on the level and trying to build it without conflicting with one another. If you want to avoid conflicting with something else, but you just put in your art assets and want to see how they look, and see if you want to make any adjustments to your art assets based on whether or not they match with the rest of the scene, you are free to drop them in the scene, see how they look, and then when you are going to save and push everything, you can still click save and make sure everything is updated, but when you go to submit content, you can uncheck the specific asset that you do not want to feature. For example, if you do not want to update the test map, which is the level that you have dropped something into it, you can uncheck it when you're submitting changes, and if there were other changes, for example, if you added another thing to the content browser, there would be a separate file here that you would be checking in. So you would keep the one that you wanted to check in checked, and then you would uncheck the test map, and then you would put in your change list description and submit. That's all you would need to do. It won't conflict with anything as long as you uncheck the thing that you don't want to conflict with. So if you're not supposed to be working in the level, but you want to drop something in the level to see what it looks like, feel free to do that. Just when you're submitting content, uncheck the test map or uncheck the level that you are placing something in to not push those changes to the origin, as to not conflict with the other person that's working in the level currently. This only matters if someone else is working in that level, but it's something to keep in mind for the project moving forward, if you are working with a group.